What is wrong with you people?
Who are you people?
Okay, this is going to be my last Deltarune video because I'm not a Deltarune theorist. This video is to talk about a lot of misconceptions that all of you seem to have in my previous video. I've been looking through the comments of said video because I don't know how to handle over 20,000 view. So, in summary, if you for some reason chose to watch this video and not the actual theory vid, then I have a quick summary. Okay, I'm recording this in post because everyone else also seems to have the same idea that there are 3 routes within Deltarune, but no one can actually agree on what's going to happen in that 3rd route. I'm going to change my theory name from 3rd route theory to abnormal route theory so that it doesn't get confused with anyone else's. 3rd route theory proposes that the Chapter 5 abortion of the weird route instead leads to its own route, which I dubbed the abnormal route, where the Twisted Sword would become available as Noel presumably enters the party in Chapter 6, therefore bringing the Thorn Ring back into our reach. This would allow us to remove Noel's trance, and since Noel has already broken her script, then she might be able to further break the prophecy. First of all, yes, I did watch Zach Ty's video and know that theory is not the same as mine, though it does share some parallels. His theory was going off the assumption that the Twisted Sword would be important in an aborted Chapter 2 weird route once you get the Thorn Ring, but now we have the knowledge of an incredibly suspicious Chapter 5 abort. Many of you in the comments have suggested that aborting the weird route after getting the Thorn Ring also allows for the Twisted Sword, and while you are probably correct, I think we're all missing the point. Yes, you can get the Twisted Sword, but why do you want it? Again, it's nearly identical to the Black Shard, save for the trance down effect, which is irrelevant because nobody is under the trance effect in that scenario. The point of the theory isn't that you can get the Twisted Sword, it's that you can get the Twisted Sword and use its unique quirk. This theory isn't based on any secret effect that the Twisted Sword has. I'm not going under the assumption that it's the Silver Bullet to Friend, or the Knight, or the Roaring, or Gaster, or any other antagonistic force. Next, a few of you mentioned that the flag for the aborted weird route gets flagged when you abort in Chapter 5, and while you are presumably correct, I wouldn't know, I didn't look at the code, other flags are still triggered to affect the dialogue like I had mentioned. If there is some other 3rd route that exists, there's nothing stating that it must be the weird route flag set as true. Okay, time to address the biggest hole in this theory, the return to the normal route. Now, I can't explain why we see so many flashbacks to the normal route in that sequence. I can only give my best guess, that being the whole sequence didn't happen. Susie's remark in Flower Castle about Chris and Noel being far away implies that they were not acting normal. She knows something happened at the beach, but respects their privacy enough not to pry too deeply. That does not make any sense for Susie to say if these events happened directly after the aborted Chapter 5 weird route, where she still has her close moment with Noel. I think that they were shown during the aborting to reinforce what Noel was saying. The normal route has Noel acting like Noel, that she is being a Noel, unlike what she is in the weird route. She continuously says that nothing changed, and shows what happened if nothing changes, if the weird route didn't happen. I already established that Noel is not a reliable narrator in this sense, because she is still clueless of what is really going on with Chris, and is only making assumptions based on the way that she herself is feeling. But even if that is completely wrong and the flashbacks really did happen, does it matter? The dialogue changes imply that the weird route event still happened, particularly Ralsei's fixation on Chris's well-being and Chris's status after the aborting. Noel still has the Thorn Ring, she still has the red pixel, she is still under the trance, and she is coming to Castletown in Chapter 6. This is the prime situation for a Twisted Sword scenario, the only one I can think of where trance down is a reliable stat without making assumptions about our possession of Chris. Some other minor things I wanted to discuss about this as well. First, I saw a few of you mention that you wouldn't get locked out of getting the Chapter 5 Shadow Crystal, instead using a Chapter 5 Shadow Crystal collected save slot, and I have a bit of a counter-argument for that point. Did you notice something that was lacking in Chapter 5 Weird Route? Something you might not have recognized until after you finish it? There is not a single save location, and therefore you cannot make a save file of the Chapter 5 Weird Route. There is not one created upon the completion of it, the Chapter 5 slot remains empty. This means that if Chapter 7 follows the same rules as the previous chapters, you cannot select a Chapter 5 Weird Route file to continue the Weird Route. This would mean that the only option is that Chapter 7 Side B started immediately after Chapter 5 Weird Route, until you got to a point where you can actually save in a slot. And we don't know where that save would be, whether in Chapter 5 saves, Chapter 7 saves, or neither. Either way, this means that the Weirdroot would not follow the same save file rules that we've grown so used to using. And since the soul is currently drowning at the bottom of the lake in the Weirdroot, we can't access the hole in Castletown to get the Shadow Crystal unless some extreme backtracking happens. Second, Noel's inability to equip the Twisted Sword. A few of you have suggested that the trance down effect, which only Chris can have due to Chris wielding the Twisted Sword, is specifically for Chris's interaction with us. While I admit this is possible, I feel like it has more evidence going against it. The only source of trance we have definitively seen so far is the Thorn Ring, which Noel equips. The second time Noel equips it, we see the red pixel, which doesn't appear to be a developing human soul like a lot of us were thinking. So my best guess is that it is a representation of trance, particularly with how we see Noel act after acquiring it. I also think her not being able to equip the Twisted Sword is irrelevant with some of the new items that Noel can equip this chapter, two of which do not make sense. I've seen a fair few theories explaining why Noel can equip what she can. Jingle Blade makes sense, since it's one of her pencils. Black Shard doesn't make sense with a couple of speculative theories explaining it, but I won't get into it. Black Shard was the exception so far. However, in Chapter 5, I think we can't exactly trust what can and can't be equipped to Noel's anymore. First of all, the Aqua Knife. Noel has the ability to equip the Aqua Knife, despite it saying it is a weapon for Chris. Noel has absolutely no relationship with Aqua in the slightest, and while you could make the argument that her soul embodies patience, the aqua-colored soul, that theory is weak at best and falls apart for the second item. That second item being the broken scarf, the flowery scarf after Flowery's death. I want to see any of you in the comments find any lore-related explanation at all as to why Noel can equip this item. I challenge you to do so, and if I find a sufficient answer that has actual evidence behind it, I'll put it in the pinned comment and apologize for being so woefully incorrect. Regardless, this means that Noel can equip 3 varieties of weapons: rings, swords, and scarves. We can't use this information as a hint to anything anymore. The Black Shard being equipable by Noel can't be used as evidence anymore, and I think it's safe to say that the Twisted Sword not being equipable to Noel is a similar case. Finally, this one's going to get me some flack, I know, but I do not think the variations of Weirdroot Knight make sense, and the ideas in those theories do conflict with mine a bit. Yes, I'm biased, I'm entirely aware of that, but hear me out. In summary, these theories hinge off the same basic principle, that the Knight's creation is the culmination of the Weirdroot, and this newly created Knight then resets Deltarune back to the beginning, Undertale style. I've seen variations suggesting that it is Chris and Noel together as an amalgam, or that it's just Noel, but it's the same idea. The main thing this theory has going for it is that it fits with the idea Toby has been drilling into our heads now, the idea that Deltarune has one ending. I do see how this would satisfy that, despite how much I hate this theory. I do think, however, that there are some very glaring holes in it. First, we have seen no instances where the characters we see in Deltarune time travel. Determination is not something we have seen directly related to saving and loading in Deltarune specifically, and personally, I don't think the two are related at all. These theories all take on the same idea, that Undertale determination and Deltarune determination are the same thing, and from what we have seen, that is not the case. If we look at Undertale, saving and loading does have direct effects on the game. We can tell Toriel that we saw her die, but that's weird. We turn around before Sans tells us to. Papyrus says he almost recognizes us. Deltarune has none of this. The only character that we have seen directly interact with the saving and loading system is the mysterious voice, probably Gaster. We see them do so in the removed Chapter 1 death scene and during the Roaring Night fight. Not even Chris does anything differently when we save and load, and Chris is the body we use to save and reload, just like Frisk was. Saving and loading in Deltarune is actual saving and loading, not time travel, and it's not determination that does it, it's Gaster through his computer. Not confirmed to be his computer, but still it's definitely him. Second, Toby's repeatedly saying that there's only one ending, and I have a little counter-argument to his mention of that, or supporting argument if you want to believe that ending is the ending. Then the world was covered in darkness. Do you know what that sounds like to me? The Roaring. The end of the world, the end of the game, that one ending. Except, hey, do you know the problem with that? To save the worlds, there is only one way. There is only one way, but there is a way to save the worlds. Toby has said from the start of Deltarune that our choices do not matter. First in the Vessel Maker sequence, then when Susie said so, then when Ralsei says it in Chapter 4. Let's look back at Toby's other game. What was the message repeatedly getting shoved in our face in that game? It's kill or be killed. And Flowey was wrong. One ending my ass, I refuse to believe it until it's proven. So yes, I think that weird root night creation theory is wrong. Haven't seen another term for it, so that's what I'm going with. Last thing I'll mention is the idea that there are actually 4 roots, specifically relating to a Chapter 2 and Chapter 4 aborted weird root. Personally, I don't think this is the case. A lot of you have pointed out that there is no noise for aborting the weird root in Chapter 5, and that we're not back on the normal route because of it. Aborted Chapter 2 weird root is pretty obvious as to why it's not on its own route. We don't kill Birdley in it, and Noel isn't shaken up by the whole events in general. Chapter 4 aborted weird root does still have Birdley in the hospital, but unlike what the description of Snowgrave would have you think, he's not dead. Noel did not kill him because he is not dead. She's obviously not happy with what happened, but it's not permanent scarring because Chris took the thorn ring off her. The thorn ring isn't equipped onto Noel in Chapter 4 aborted weird root, so Noel doesn't break a character like Chapter 5. There is still a way for it to go back to normal. Okay, last thing for real this time. I've seen a lot of people say that the weird root is canon for Undertale because of the punch card scene from Sans. No, it's not canon because of that. Now, granted, the Sans scene is required in Chapter 5 weird root because Susie needs ice cream, but you can still have the same punch card scene in normal Chapter 5 as well. I know because I found it in my first playthrough. So no, the weird root is not specifically what causes Sans to go to Undertale, stop spreading misinformation. Was there anything else? I can't think of anything. This is probably my final adieu to the Deltarune theorizing space, as I've made my mark. If something insane changes, maybe I'll return, but I'd say y'all have this covered already. Back to my own works I go.